Hello. Today our group is going to be talking about the Caribbean islands and the influence of colonization on the architecture and the different motifs we can see in the buildings in this region. Firstly, it is important to understand the value of these islands and how they played an important role for the Spanish Empire. The island of Jamaica was first captured by Spain in 1655 by a small Spanish garrison. Following this, other islands such as Dominican Republic and Cuba were also imperialized by the Spanish Empire. They posed an important trade value and were a good connecting factor between Latin America and Spain. The islands also contributed to the slave trade. Since plantation slavery was extremely prevalent during this time, these islands provided a lot of labor and land for the same. The first island that we will be talking about is the Dominican Republic. Prior to the arrival of the Spanish, the locals or the Taino people had a great influence on their architecture. The Taino people relied heavily on mahogany and guano, which is dried palm tree leaf, to put together well-crafted artwork, furniture, and even sometimes their homes. Following the colonization by the Spanish, they brought in different motifs and styles from Europe, such as the Baroque. Different ornate elements and details were put into the facades of the building. Other elements such as arches above their doors and large arch windows were also used.
Well, now I'm going to be talking about Santo Domingo, capital of the Dominican Republic. First of all, it was founded in 1496 by Bartholomew Columbus, or Bartolomé Colón, and it is the oldest continuously inhabited European settlement in the Americas. Santo Domingo is also considered the cultural capital of the Caribbean, with a rich history of music, literature, art, and architecture, what we're going to talk about today. Santo Domingo's architecture reflects a mix of styles due to its long history and influences, and alongside colonial architecture, you can find examples of Victorian, neoclassical, and modernist styles. That showcases the city's architectural diversity. Santo Domingo's colonial zone is renowned for its well-preserved examples of Spanish colonial architecture, and it's also home to the first cathedral built in the Americas, which is Cathedral of Santa Maria la Menor. The Cathedral of Santa Maria la Menor, located in Santo Domingo's colonial zone, is the oldest cathedral in the Americas. Its construction began in 1512 and it was completed in 1540. Talking about the architectural style, this cathedral features a mix of architectural styles, including Gothic, Baroque, and Plateresque. Talking about the exterior, its facade is characterized by intricate carvings and sculptures, and about the interior, revaulting defines the structure and design of the ceilings and supporting elements. The cathedral holds a great historical significance as the first church built in the New World, and it stands as a symbol of the Spanish colonial presence in the Americas and the spread of Christianity in the region. Its innovative design has an impact on future developments in America. Now, talking about Church and Convent of the Dominicans, which is also located in Santo Domingo, it was built between 1511 and 1538, and it was commissioned by Tomás de Vio. It becomes the first university in the New World, Universidad Santo Tomás de Aquino, and one of the oldest buildings in America. Now, talking about the architectural style, it has a lot of elements on the exterior, such as the bas-relief facade, which combines Renaissance and Gothic elements, and the facade also includes a rose window, which is a characteristic element of Gothic cathedrals. It also has a curved pediment and hybrid materiality, which means that it combines different materials, such as stone, lime plaster, and wood.
Hello, my name is Angel Garcia, and I will be speaking about how the Caribbean islands adapted to the warm weather. The Caribbean islands promoted uses of sustainable cooling methods either by using natural resources or thoroughly thinking of where everything was placed. For example, the porches and verandas were placed high up so that they could provide shade for the street or courtyard, as well as the pastel colors on the facades, helping with sunlight and cooling. And then, as we can see on the picture to the left, the raised foundation where they used the water as a resource to cool off. I will be speaking about how they use architecture in order to achieve natural cooling within their buildings. The first one was using large windows, doors, and open floor plans to help promote airflow and reduce artificial cooling methods, which included fans or AC systems. In their design, they used high ceilings, which allowed hot air to rise and attract cooler air from lower openings. They incorporated verandas and porches, which are outdoor spaces that help supply with shade, and people are able to relax and socialize within these spaces. They also used natural materials in their building, which by integrating these materials with high thermal mass, such as stone or concrete, into the building structure helped stabilize indoor temperatures by absorbing heat during the day and releasing it slowly at night. They use cross ventilation. Cross ventilation is where air can flow through the building from one side to another to help keep the indoor spaces cooler. Now, this could be achieved by either placing a window in the front and another opening in the back, or vice versa, or in various different ways. And the final, which is also a very beautiful addition, was the light-colored finishes. In other words, pastel colors, which helped to reflect sunlight, which reduced heat absorption and keeping buildings cooler. Now, this diagram to the right, we can see many of the things that I just spoke about. Another thing would be raising the foundation in areas where water can be a problem, which by doing this, they are also using the water to use as a resource for cooling down. We can see in this diagram the shaded veranda from the overhang roof and how the air flows through the open work structure.
So my name is Alan Sanchez, and I'll be talking about Havana, Cuba. Havana is located in the island's north coast. Havana is the capital city of Cuba. It is renowned for its vibrant culture, rich history, and diverse architectural heritage. It was founded in 1519 by Spanish colonizers, and Havana has evolved over the centuries into a bustling metropolis with a unique blend of architectural styles influenced by their past colonials. And Havana has about 900 historic buildings. It also has a tropical climate, as almost the rest of the Caribbean, and it has a hurricane risk between June and November. First building I'll be talking about is Plaza de la Catedral. This is also known as the Cathedral of the Virgin Mary. This beautiful building is a beautiful example of the Cuban Baroque architecture. This building was completed in 1777 by the Franciscans, and this was designed by Italian architect Francesco Borromini. So basically what this building is about, it has two large bell towers that flank the facade, which is adorned with inlaid columns. In the inside, it has vaulted ceilings, and it has a central nave, two side aisles, and 8 side chapels. The central arches of the nave are buttressed by 8 stone flying arches located above the side aisles on the exterior of the cathedral. And here in the picture on the right side on the bottom, we can see the floor plan that it forms a Latin cross, which is really beautiful to see how this structure can really make something meaningful to the cathedral. So the last building I'm going to be talking about is the El Capitolio, which is also known as the National Capitol Building. Now, some might say this is a replica of the U.S. Capitol Building in Washington, D.C., but it's not. It is similar, but this one is a meter high, a meter deeper, and a meter longer, as well as much richer in detail, as some might say. So, El Capitolio was completed in 1929 by Eugenio Rainieri Piedra. The building was made in Capellania, white limestone, and granite. The structure's magnificent cupola was actually inspired by the Pantheon in Paris. This is a blend from the neoclassical and Art Nouveau styles. And below the dome, there is a replica of a 24-karat diamond from where it is said that all the highway distances between Havana and other points in Cuba are measured. And it is gazed skyward to the top of the dome. So the the cupola, which is stone clad around a steel frame that was constructed in the United States, is set planimetrically forward on the building to allow for the apse that contains the dome, which was the highest point in the city of Havana until 1956. So it is quite tall. The dome now is the fifth largest dome in the world, which is incredible to see that an old building is still top five um, in the world. And I really love the paid attention to like the columns, the in the dome. It's not here. It's not a close picture, but they really paid attention to every single little detail, even on the inside of the building. It is just beautiful inside and out.
Barbados is an island country in the southeastern Caribbean Sea, situated about 100 miles east of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Roughly triangular in shape, the island measures about 20 miles from northwest to southeast and about 15 miles from east to west at its widest point. The capital and largest town is Bridgetown, which is also the main seaport. The geographic position of Barbados has profoundly influenced the island's history and culture and aspects of its economic life. Barbados is not part of the nearby archipelago of the Lesser Antilles, although it is usually grouped with it. The island is of different geologic formation. It is less mountainous and has less variety in plant and animal life. This abbey is located in St. Peter, Barbados, and is a plantation house, museum, and rum distillery. Colonel Benjamin Beringer built the house in 1658. This house is one of only three genuine Jacobean mansions in the Western Hemisphere. It's similar to the English Jacobean era manor houses of the first half of the 17th century, the period between the Tudor and the Georgian styles, being in the reign of James I. St. John's Parish Church in Barbados is the first church of St. John that is presumed to have been a simple wooden building. What its date is unknown. The parish, along with St. George, was carved out of St. Michael in 1640 and 1641. But successive churches were badly damaged by the hurricane of 1675, the Great Hurricane of 1780, and finally destroyed by the 1831 Barbados, Louisiana hurricane. The present church building was built in 1836 and the chancel added in 1876. It is a prototype of the restrained Barbadian version of the Gothic parish church and a beautiful West Masket sculpture commemorating Elizabeth Pinder on the left of the main door.
Hey guys, it's Giovanni. I'm going to talk about one of the islands in the Caribbean islands called the Bahamas, which many of us will know since it's a very beautiful place to travel or to tourist or to go vacation for. The Bahamas has many different styles of architecture, but it is usually a mix of African and European elements, such as that they have vibrant colors such as pink, yellow, and green. They function designs adapted to the climate change, since it's in the Caribbean islands, so it's very tropical and warm. So they need probably like something light to repel the sun from absorbing them. And they have colonial houses, clapboard houses, and modern villas. And also that most of them are Georgian classical buildings with pink and white themes, symbolizes the country's history, present and future. For instance, they use pink to show their government, they use yellow for their school, and green for environmental. But homeowners can decide on their own home color, but many of them will use pink and white, like you see here with the balcony huts from the 18th century. Usually now it's being transformed into a museum. The Parliament Square where the government stuff are in 1850, and it's in the capital of Nassau, Bahamas. The Nassau Public Library is also pink since it's a government, as I said before, and also the Jacaranda House, which is very beautiful, I assume, and they have very good taste of color, good taste of landscaping, which comes up to be very nice aspect to it. This is the Christ Church Cathedral. It's a historical landmark and the first church constructed in the Bahamas. The Spaniards demolished the original structure in 1684, and the new structure was built in 1695, only to be destroyed again by the Spaniards in 1703. The third structure was constructed in 1724, and while the Spaniards did not destroy it, it was made of wood, so I guess the material they wanted to be replaced. They replaced it in 1754 with the fourth style, which will be the Gothic style that we see here now, and it's made of cut stone from a local quarry for strength and durability. This is St. Augustine's Monastery. The architect was John House, who at the age of 70 started working on this. He wanted to work on to be a college, a monastery, and a church at Fox Hill, New Providence, which became his largest architecture project in the Bahamas. On April 12, 1946, that's when the work started to begin. However, the monastery was built. The church and college was not a success. The project first stages were finished in 11 months and comprised 260-foot long blocks, two enormous gargoyles built by Halls, one of which is still in situ, the other partially, are a feature of the monastery as they are in the Mulewa church. And
So if we talk about the architecture in the Caribbean islands, we have to talk about Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico's history is marked by a mix of indigenous, Spanish, and American influences. The island was originally inhabited by the Taino people before being claimed by Spain in 1493 during Christopher Columbus' second voyage to the Americas. Spain controlled Puerto Rico for over 400 years, during which the island became a hub for trade and military operations. In 1898, Puerto Rico was ceded to the United States as a result of the Spanish-American War. Puerto Rican architecture is a reflection of its rich history, combining elements of Spanish colonial, indigenous Taino, and even some African influences. However, the Spanish colonial rule had a major impact on the island architecture style. The colonial architecture is found in all Puerto Rico. For example, in Old San Juan is a prime example of colonial architecture with the colorful facades, narrow streets, and impressive forts like El Morro and Castillo San Cristobal. You can find homes with courtyards, wooden balconies, and large decorative doors. And if we talk about preservation, Old San Juan is recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site for its architectural significance. There is also vernacular architecture. This reflects traditional building methods using local materials such as stone, wood, and concrete. On the other side, we can find contemporary architecture that merge modern designs with traditional elements, focusing on sustainability and eco-friendliness. Finally, a great example of Puerto Rican architecture is Castillo San Felipe del Morro. This was a fort and citadel site as the main defense of the Bay of San Juan. It was marked as a World Heritage Site by the UNESCO, and it has features such as hornwork and garitas that are basically sentry boxes.